And she pointed out to me basically, Michael, it's not good for you to do things the way you always do them. So I want this to be an honest reaction to looking back a year ago from now and looking at what led up to a year ago from now. Because I've always talked about March 4 as the day that I went into the hospital, that's the milestone, March 4. But March 3 is I think an even more important day. Because March 3 was the day when I said to myself, in a rare moment, this feeling of sickness isn't going to go away on its own. And that's always been how I've always thought about sickness, illness, the flu, a cold, anything. It'll go away on its own. But 1 year ago today, I realized it's not going to. So I'm going to be looking at my camera roll. When I look back and I say, all right, so when did it start? When did this begin? And I look at March 3, and then I say, oh, so obviously it began before that. And I see this picture, okay, oh wait, no, it went before that. And I keep going back. And then I realize in retrospect, oh yeah, I guess that was related. Oh yeah, I guess that was part of it. I guess, and I keep going back. And I could probably go back years. I take a lot of pictures. I'm constantly taking pictures. And you take enough pictures and some of them are going to be bad. So you think, well, I can delete the bad ones. But I have this habit of not deleting the bad ones, keeping all the bad ones too. There's even a picture from the school year previous where I was at a restaurant with some friends and I was trying to read something on the phone and I couldn't. So I borrowed some reading glasses from my friend Neville. And then I took a picture of myself with the reading glasses and sent it to Buffy, and she didn't care for the picture. So as I scroll through, I see pictures of dinner parties, pictures of friends who were at restaurants, more meals. And I'm getting into December and more food, some sweet food, pictures of dinner at Francine's, where she made a homemade Brazilian dessert. A lot like flan, but I can't remember what the name was. Francine, you'll tell me what the name was. Delicious. Almost killed me probably, but delicious. Some lokum, Turkish delight, with water buffalo cream in the center. A New Year's carrot cake. I don't have a sweet tooth, but there were a few sweets, a few desserts that I always really liked. Carrot cake with a good cream cheese frosting, German chocolate cake, and mostly frosting on that. Even a picture of a coconut flavored lollipop that I would probably suck on a little bit, before going to the gym, so I had a little bit of blood sugar so that I could work out. And then in January, mid-January, we traveled to the States. And I remember all the guilt of leaving my fellow teachers with classes to cover. But I did have to go. It was important. When explaining the reasons to my boss at work, she was very understanding. I had full support, and that was nice. So all these pictures of visiting with family, eating food with family, some travel down the roads of Wisconsin, Minnesota, an American winter, which I hadn't had in years. Some of the sedentary Hobbies that I picked up, like Rubik's Cubes and lock picking, news stories of the day. Oh, yeah. And some American fast food. A weekend in Chicago with deep dish pizza. And plane travel back to Turkey when the memes about coronavirus had already begun. I remember going into the classroom and at this point, already not feeling great and telling the students that, yeah, I traveled, so I'm tired. And they said, teacher, do you have coronavirus? And it was all a joke then. No, 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 I don't have coronavirus, don't worry. But I am feeling kind of sick, but it's not coronavirus. And then back to food here in Turkey. I discovered a new pizza place, took a picture of the food. That was part of one meal and the Turkish winter. There's a picture here that has been in my mind. When I came back to Turkey, I had been off sertraline for a couple of weeks. And then when I came back, I went back up to my normal dose. Now, I went back up faster than normal. Usually I would start at 50 and then I would go up to 100. I thought I had the side effect of dry mouth. So I was drinking water and I was feeling really thirsty. And this picture reminds me of one day when I was here. It was in the afternoon, evening, and I was so thirsty. So I ordered enough water for a while. And I remember my feeling of comfort. I remember the secure feeling of having all that water there and knowing that it doesn't matter how thirsty I get, that water's going to cover me. It was a really positive, good, warm feeling. Like similar to being in a blanket, you know. After about a week, I started thinking, why am I so thirsty when I have all this water? Am I eating too much salt? What's going on? These things can start adding up. My eyesight was going. I was getting this dry mouth constantly. Fatigue, always tired. My appetite was going down. Even though I was eating an entire pizza, I was carrying water with me to every class. In addition to the dry mouth, I then started going to the bathroom constantly. That shouldn't make sense. Wait, you're constantly going to the bathroom, so obviously you have enough water, but you're still thirsty. And in one of the really, really humbling examples of self-delusion, just where I'm just completely ignoring obvious things and thinking that I'm being honest, thinking that I'm looking honestly at the evidence and looking honestly at the situation. I thought, okay, let me just look at side effects of sertraline. And dry mouth might be on there. Let me see how far. Oh, it's right there close to the top. I found my answer. And then when I was going to the bathroom constantly, even though I wasn't drinking that much more than usual, I was really going to the bathroom about every 20 minutes. Every 20 minutes I was going to pee. And I thought, let me look that up. Again, thinking that I was being honest. Side effects of sertraline. How far down do I have to go? And incontinence. Okay, yeah. It wasn't really incontinence. But I think in my mind I said, incontinence, I mean, I can hold it, but I feel like going. So that's close enough. Yeah, incontinence. Okay. The etymology of diabetes is you're constantly going to the bathroom. People had been saying to me, you're losing weight. What are you doing? What's your exercise routine? What are you doing? What's your diet? No diet. And I laughed when they would say that you're losing weight and they wanted to know what my diet was because I could show them the pictures. This is my diet. I'm not losing weight. When given the freedom to understand things subjectively, we always do it in the way that causes the least trouble for us in the moment. But then some objective evidence started coming at me. My rings started fitting differently. And I started very clearly losing weight because my rings were fitting on fingers that they hadn't fit on in years. Getting up constantly, getting up several times during the night to go to the bathroom. Well, yeah, I mean, I always wake up. I always have to adjust. I have sleep apnea, and so that always, bothers me. Eventually, I was waking up at night because of cramps in my legs. My legs were starting to cramp up. I can't remember if I looked that one up too as a side effect of sertraline. If cramps are on there, it's okay. So coming back from the States was right into a busy month. February was a month of preparing for a JMUN conference. Weekends, working during lunches, and then spending the weekend, the entire weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, with these kids at their conference where they had fun. I had fun talking to friends, visiting with friends. It's mostly a positive memory. We were visiting a different school, and I thought, okay, there's a bathroom on this floor here, there's a bathroom on that floor there, there's a coffee machine over here. If I drink some coffee, but not too much, because the caffeine is a diuretic, and I drink so much caffeine, that diuretic is clearly what's making me go to the bathroom so much. Conference ended on the 23rd of February. That week, my two friends and I, who had gone to the conference with the kids, were tired. Monday, we were dragging. You're tired, I'm tired. Well, we can get through it. We can do this. And they started to recover. But I felt the same. I started to ask them, are you getting any better? And they'd say a little bit. And I would think, damn it, I'm not. And then even later, by Thursday, I remember asking, are you dizzy? And one of them said, yeah, I am a little dizzy. And that took a load off. But then when they were back to normal, and I was even more dizzy, and I was even more tired, and I was waking up with cramps, and I was going to the bathroom constantly, and my eyesight was getting really bad, where I had to wear stronger glasses than the ones I had first gotten. And the students are telling me that I look sick. And teaching a class, I have to prop myself up on the desk because I just don't have the energy. And I was giving the students group work because I couldn't talk during class. I needed to constantly drink water because my dry mouth was stopping me from being able to talk during class. I was the test writer for the 7th grade, which meant that any day that there was an exam, which was always on a Wednesday, the day before, I would have to put the exams into envelopes for each classroom, label them with instructions, put the attendance sheets, stack them all up. This was an exam for about 600 students. So I had to prepare all of this ahead of time. And fortunately, I always had a half day before the exams. So I remember that Tuesday, March 3, 1 year ago today. I remember waking up tired, as always, going to teach a few classes, and knowing that I had the rest of the day to do this work. Finishing my classes, having dragged myself. But I remember finishing teaching and going outside because some friends of mine were sitting out there in a courtyard. They were wearing jackets, but the weather was warm enough that I could go out and very comfortably just sit there. And I felt like I needed fresh air, which I don't usually feel, but I was just not well. So I went, laid down on a bench right next to them where they were talking. And I remember a friend of mine years ago had said, when things get really bad, when you're starting to freak out, just remember, no matter what, you can just lie there. And that was a really comfortable feeling. Similar to you have enough water no matter how thirsty you get. I remember the The cement was cold, but it felt good. Remember my classes were over for the day. That felt good. I remembered that I had the exams to prepare, but I had a whole half day left, so I had plenty of time. That felt good to have that time. I remembered that I had to take the exams to the copy center, but I had to wait till lunch was over because they were on their lunch break. So I was allowed to just wait. That felt good. The bell rang, meaning that the next class was beginning, and I knew it wasn't my class. That felt good. Then I got up, I went into the building, and my friend Meltem said, "Michael, check your WhatsApp. I sent you a picture." "Oh, thanks." So I went and I checked my WhatsApp, and she had left the message, "Beware of stalkers," and a picture. That's the last picture I have of me in my innocence. The next picture I have of me on my camera roll is of the brutal effects of getting help. But before that, March 3rd, from the moment that I got up from that bench till the evening, there were some key moments and there's some key decisions and some key thoughts in my mind that if I hadn't had, I'd be dead right now. But there are also some thoughts that sort of show why I was in that position in the first place. My boss came up to me, "Are the exams ready?" And I said, "No, I just have to do this, this, and this, but I can do it, there's no problem." And she said, "You're not looking well. Do you feel okay?" And I said, "Well, no, I don't feel so great." "Did you have lunch?" "No, I didn't eat lunch, but I don't need it. I'm not hungry because I'm busy, so I don't feel hungry." "But Michael, you need to eat something. Here, have a cookie." And she gave me a cookie, this chocolate cookie. "You should go to the school doctor." And I remember saying to her, "What is the school doctor going to do for me? Tell me that I feel sick? I know that already." "Okay, well, what classes do you have?" "Faiza, it's my half day, so I have nothing else that I need to do. I'll just finish the exams. I'll go home. I'll rest." "It's your half day?" "Yes." "Michael, you should just go home. We can do the exams." "But I mean, there's so much to do. I can sit here and Michael, no. Michael, go home. Go home." The fact that she insisted that I go home completely changed sort of my mindset on this whole thing. Because I think if she hadn't insisted that I go home, I probably would have stayed at the school until 5 o'clock. I probably would have finished and done all the work and the packing up of the exams and the labeling and everything. And I would have felt like, see, I did this as I always do. Yeah, I feel bad. Yeah, I feel sick. Yeah, I feel tired. But that's what a good night's sleep is for. But because she said, and she pointed out to me basically, "Michael, it's not good for you to do things the way you always do them." I went home with some guilt, thinking, I've given work to other people, with some shame of I failed and I couldn't do what I was supposed to do, with some relief. There's some things you don't have to do. Other people can do them. Combined. Some things that contradict each other, also supporting each other. Ideas that say the other idea is wrong, also saying, and this is why it's right. I went home that evening, this evening, last year. On the afternoon and evening of March 3, I started to realize you can't just let this take its course, because its course is not to a good place. haven't scrolled back in my WhatsApp. And I just now am seeing this and remembering this. Now that I'm looking back at some of these messages with key people, somebody told me on March 3, well, she wrote to me and asked, "Are you feeling better? You look pale." And I said, "I'm going to go to the hospital tomorrow." And she said, "You can go to the emergency department tonight so you can spend the night comfortably." There was no way I was going to do that. It was a big enough step to decide that I was going to go to the hospital the next day. At 9:30 this evening last year, my friend Francine wrote to me, "How are you feeling?" And I said, "Dehydrated and nauseous. But since I can't eat, I throw up nothing." I didn't realize that I was throwing up that night. "Feels annoying," I say. "How long will it take to get better?" she asked. And I say, "I don't know. I spoke with Urash and I plan to go in tomorrow to the hospital. Something needs to be fixed more than my medication." I'm not sure exactly what that is. I was taking the sertraline again, so I wonder if that was it. Yeah, I had talked to her about, I think it's a side effect. I had already mentioned to her. And in talking to her afterwards, she told me that I had mentioned diabetes and I had mentioned that possibility. But I really repressed that. Even saying it, I wasn't able to hear it. I wasn't able to think it as a possibility. Slept all day, so I fell asleep on the 3rd when I went home. I didn't realize that. I thought I was awake all day thinking about it. "You have to check it," she says. I said, "Yep. I'm glad you're going," she says. And I said, "Time to be smart." And then I mentioned that I wonder if it's really just a digestion issue. Maybe, maybe I'm blocked up. Maybe I need some probiotic. Maybe I need some laxative or something. Because her little cat Sherlock had issues, and he would take a laxative that would flush things right through his system. I actually remember thinking that if I go to the hospital, maybe they just have to clear me out. Maybe they just have to give me an enema. I remember that idea or that possibility being oh, and if that just cleared me out, that would be such a cathartic cure. Just to get it all out, just to flush it through me. That'll be nice. That'll be really nice. The evening of March 3, I wrote a message to my friend Jana. "Jana, I'm not recovering well. I can't even keep water down. Would Urash be able to accompany me tomorrow to the hospital?" And then I asked her, "Do you have any probiotic yogurt or laxatives?" She has probiotic and Reflor. I said, "Oh, Reflor, that's supposed to be good too. I think my digestion is really screwed up." Her husband came up to deliver it. Talking to him, "Hi, Mike. Get mich olsen. When do you want to go to the hospital?" I said, "Any time in the morning. I'm trying to drink water little by little. I'm sure I'll have to miss school anyway. Yes, anytime after that is fine. I would appreciate it." So he tells me to get some rest and then call him when I wake up. I will. Is it Corona? He said. How bad are you? He says. Is it Corona? Not terrible, just dehydrated. Ha. Not Corona, no fever. Okay. And if you have to go to the emergency room, we can go anytime. I said, thanks. I'll reach out if necessary. And then the messages between him and me the next morning. I sent him a message at 8:59. I do remember that the night before I was waking up constantly, trying to throw up, just dry heaving. It was dark, so I can't see what I was throwing up, but I think it was mostly bile. I was waking up with cramps all night. So in the morning, he said, we'll take your car, because Jana took the car to school. So I said, I warn you, I feel very weak. I sometimes think, what would have happened if I hadn't told him the night before that I need to go to the hospital? I probably would have said, okay, in the morning, when I was still thinking that I might go to the hospital, feel better, and go to work, I might have said, let me just sleep a little more, and then I'll call him. What if I had called and he was out somewhere else? Or I had somehow just put it off? Or a year ago today, right about now, I was leaving work to come home, and I was feeling so bad, thinking that I'd feel better after sleep. And that's when I realized, after I woke up, that I was not feeling any better, that I had to reach out for new kinds of help. I can't talk too much right now about the trip to the hospital and that day and what happened after. But I have tried to think about what Buffy's experience was at the time, because her introduction to this whole scary thing was a very confusing text from Urash on March 4. Telling her that something wasn't right and she had to be there. So the next step, after admitting that this isn't going to go away without a new kind of help, was submission. The kind of help that I was getting was forced on me, because I wasn't even a part of what was happening when it started happening. The symbolism of March 4 becomes that I started to sort of disappear from the problem. The problem made my mind and my decisions shut down, so that the solution and the actions had to come from somebody else. And eventually, I would have to come back into the equation as a different person with different realizations, different skills, different values, and different goals, different beliefs, different faiths, different fears. Different desires. And a different future. This isn't an uncomfortable smile. This is a very genuine, thankful smile. About how much better my life could be than I thought it was going to be. I swear it's a real smile. So I'll continue the story later. Thanks for bearing with me on this one.